was already pretty unhappy with EA over the Mass Effect Legendary Edition because of how they're trying to get people to buy a $150 legendary cache for the game that doesn't even come with a copy of the damn game. I talked about it in a previous video in case you want to hear my rant about that topic. It will be linked in the description, but censorship's a worry for literally any game now. We have seen so much censorship in the gaming industry over the past couple of years that I almost always wait to see or hear about a game's content before I pre-order so I don't end up in a bad situation, especially with games coming from a company like EA. And of course, this is one of those times where waiting ends up paying off. So, before we get into the article, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel to see my daily content that YouTube seems to suppress a ton of. Hit the notification bell as well. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when I post my content, and please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon for just $1 a month. All of the links are in the description. I appreciate all of the support. So, BioWare to edit sexualized cutscenes in Mass Effect's Legendary Edition. BioWare has confirmed that Mass Effect Legendary Edition will feature edits to some of its more sexualized cutscenes, particularly those involving Cerberus officer Miranda Lawson. Announced on February 2nd, Mass Effect Legendary Edition is set to feature not only the 3 games that make up the original Mass Effect trilogy, but over 40 DLC from all 3 games and enhanced performance, visuals, and graphics, all available in HDR. A lot of people, myself included, were very excited for this. Big fan of Mass Effect. I know a ton of you are as well. And this idea sounded really cool, having a remaster of not only the original trilogy, but all of the DLC from the games, getting that enhanced performance and graphics. It sounded really good, and as a product, you know, besides censorship, it might be really good, but censorship is a big deal breaker for a lot of people. For Mass Effect 1, we took the rough edges off of it and tried to reduce the delta between 1 and 2 because 2 and 3 had a very similar look and feel, and 1 tended to feel pretty dated. So we spent more time trying to bring it closer to 2, project director Mac Walters explained to Metro in a recent interview. Walters continued, there were underlying systems that made it more like an RPG and less like a shooter, but there were other systems like camera, movement, aiming, and things like that that we had to improve over the course of the trilogy. It does sound like they did want to put a lot of effort into 1 just because they felt like 1 was clearly the game that needed the most work. I am glad to hear the project director coming out and saying we did really put a lot of time and effort into this. It says, so bringing those into Mass Effect 1 was a no-brainer, and we tried to just smooth out your overall experience, he added. Reducing the friction of that gameplay, but not inherently or fundamentally changing how you progress through the game, how you invest in the squad talents, and the class systems and things like that. It does sound like they were very aware of what they wanted to do. They wanted to update things, but they also didn't want to change the whole gameplay itself, the way that you play the game, the systems in the game, which is really good that they kept that in mind when creating it. But it's pretty unfortunate that they went the extra mile to censor specific things in the game. It says, in turning their attention into providing players with a better overall experience, Walters further explained that the team gave special attention to improving the game's handling of the female version of Commander Shepard, whose character lacked customization features and reused many of the male-centric animations from her male counterpart. I've never really had a big issue with female Shepard in the games. I think that she's been good. I don't really think that there were any major issues that people had with her, at least I didn't. But it says specifically for female Shepard, I think that there were a lot of things that we could do across the trilogy to make that better, so that she's a bit more on par with male shepherd, said Walters, whether it be just some subtle face shape changes or some wrinkles or support or whatever, so she's catching the light in that same kind of quality level. Though, somewhat unsurprisingly, the original 3 games in the trilogy will not be released unaltered, as Walter revealed that the team had made edits to some of the game's more well-rounded cutscenes. When pressed on the accusations levied against the developer that certain characters and designs, such as the all-female Asari or EDI's robot body, were made to specifically pander to a male audience, he noted that I do think a lot of things have evolved since the original games, but I don't know if I would say we were ultra concerned about it or anything like that. But there were considerations. They are altering things and taking things into considerations from people that are angry on the internet, people from places like Reset Era, who complain about females being sexualized in games, that complain about outfits, skimpy outfits, that female characters wear. Real fans would be like, hell yeah, give me that content, I'm perfectly fine with it. But to alter it and remove it and saying we were considering all of these different things that we could change doesn't make me feel confident in this project as a consumer. According to Walters, Kevin actually called out some camera cuts that were just, why was that focusing on Miranda's butt? Oh no, the camera was on the female's rear end. Oh no, the camera angle showed the character's butt, her best assets. We have to remove that. We have to censor that. We have to change that. It's so pathetic to see this happen. So in some cases, we said, okay, we can make a change there, he recalled. But ultimately, to change an entire character model or something like that wasn't really, it was a decision that was made as part of many creative decisions, and just showing it as best possible fidelity-wise that we could going forward is really the choice for all of the art that we had. They're basically saying we would consider changing it more and even altering it more, but it would be too hard. I'm glad that it was too hard for them to do and they decided that they couldn't make a lot more changes, but they're still making changes here. They're still admitting that, oh no, camera angles were on her butt. We have to change that. That is way, way too inappropriate. Unfortunately, despite these improvements and changes being made to Mass Effect, Walters concluded his interview with Metro by revealing that the 3rd game's controversial ending would remain unchanged. Sure, you can change the controversy around the ending, and we understand, I certainly understand, how that we didn't hit with some people, but I don't think you suddenly just go in and try to change anything in that regards. This is a game for adults. There are 3 single-player games here. By doing this, by censoring female, characters and upskirts and removing camera angles that were a little bit too focused on their butts, they're not respecting women or protecting women by doing these things. They're just making themselves look stupid. To censor an upskirt shot of a character or censor the camera angles that were a little bit too on their butt is on par with them adding shorts under Jill's skirt in Resident Evil 3. That was so pathetic of Capcom to do. Does it matter that much? Will it ruin the game if the camera angles aren't on their butts? No, but it is still censorship, and supporting the least amount of censorship you can is better for entertainment, or else companies feel like they can change and censor whatever the hell they want, and people will still purchase their products. This is really stupid, in my opinion. I don't really say that a lot because I just think that they could have done so much better. They could have just said, we're gonna leave it in, because when I'm spending $60 on a remaster, I expect all of the content to be the exact same, minus maybe like 1 or 2 things if they were causing a lot of technical issues and people would rather have them. But this isn't one of those times. They are trying to pander, saying, well, this was pretty disrespectful to women and we thought that we could obey the demands on social media from people who are angry about the way way that the camera angles were. As a fan of not only BioWare but of Mass Effect, I'm pretty disappointed to see this happen. For them to edit sexualized cutscenes, this is a game for adults. I don't care if there's a little bit of fan service and a little bit of adult content in it. We are talking about fully clothed butts. What is the big problem here? It's literally just the female body. I'm so sick of companies censoring things about the female body, giving them more clothing, toning them down, because whenever you hear toning down, it is censorship, and you know that something is going wrong with the project. They're just trying to defend themselves, saying, oh no, we're not censoring anything, we're just slightly toning it down. It is still censorship, and it still sucks to see. But let everyone know your thoughts in the comments section down below. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.